Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And just when you thought that the Democrats couldn't have any more problems in the United States Senate, it got worse for them today. And this is a brutal blow for them ahead of 2026 for multiple reasons. And the first brutal blow is the fact that Senator Jeanne Shaheen, who previously was filing paperwork, now has changed her mind and has decided that she will not seek re-election in the state of New Hampshire. She is an electoral juggernaut for the Democrats in this state, and it does seem as if it's over for her. She's not running for re-election, which means that in regards to the Senate, the map was already awful. Trump's in the White House, and you usually see the party out of power gain seats, but the map does not look good for the Democrats. They are going to have an uphill climb in North Carolina, which is their best shot at a flip. It doesn't really seem like Susan Collins is super threatened in Maine. I think it's lean Republican, but I have it as a toss-up for now. Georgia seems like Brian Kemp, who I'm not really a big fan of, is going to run and defeat Jon Ossoff, which would give Republicans another seat. And in Michigan, you have Gary Peters, who would have been the clear favorite. He's now retiring. Pete Buttigieg is the front runner to replace him. Meanwhile, Republicans possibly could pick up that seat, especially because they may have an interesting year, because the governor's race could be a very close three-way race, which definitely helps the Republicans more than it helps the Democrats. But now New Hampshire, you are talking about an incumbent not running. And obviously Minnesota, that's a whole nother ordeal. That's a little bit of an uphill climb. It's possible that if Republicans found a solid candidate that they could go out there and face like Tim Walz if he goes for it and find a way to win. But regardless, it's still Democrat leaning. It's Minnesota. It's just a big mess up there. And maybe there's a non-zero chance, but it's not very much. I think a lean Democrat is fine for now. But New Hampshire, no, that's a toss-up, especially now, because Scott Brown seemed to be the leading Republican contender, because Chris Sununu once again just decided to say, yeah, I don't think I'm going to run for the Senate seat, but now he's changing his tune. Chris Sununu says, I have not ruled it out completely. So what does that exactly mean? That means that there's a chance that he goes for it, and now that he sees a pickup opportunity because it's an open seat, it's very likely that he goes for it. And let me be clear, not a fan of Chris Sununu, but at the same time, New Hampshire is New Hampshire. The last time New Hampshire went Republican, I was in diapers. I couldn't even walk, okay? Like, it has been a blue state for quite some time. And although it's been close on certain occasions, that's true. You're talking about a midterm year. Republicans have kind of a trouble turning out the Trump base in a midterm year. You're going to need a very strong candidate, an electoral titan, to go out there and win this race. And I think Sununu is somebody to do it. Now, is he going to be a Lisa Murkowski or a Susan Collins? I think he's going to be better than a Lisa Murkowski or a Susan Collins. So when you look at that, it's like you're already talking about an improvement in a state that is Democrat. It hasn't voted Republican at the presidential level since 2000, and maybe that changes. And if Sununu's weak, maybe down the line he could face a primary challenge and we could cross that bridge when we get there. But in the meantime, it's a net positive if he runs. Yes, he is a rhino to an extent. I understand that. But this is a blue state. This is not a red state. You take what you can get. He has been a team player and friendly with Trump when push comes to shove, when Trump's in the White House, to the point where he's going to vote with his agenda probably 100% of the time while appearing moderate in public so he can get reelected. And that's the way it is. He is a moderate Republican, that's true, but it's New Hampshire. This is not even like a state like Nevada, where I would definitely want somebody better than a Chris Sununu. You're talking about New Hampshire. Now, maybe you could sell me on a Scott Brown if he does decide to run, that he could possibly win this seat. I've said it for a while. Scott Brown could. He's definitely better than Sununu on issues like immigration, even when he was a senator from Massachusetts, and he was an ambassador under Donald Trump, but he also kind of picks his battles well, has moderate optics, you name it. But still, Chris Sununu, I think, would give you the best shot at flipping this race. And I definitely think it's a toss-up. And you could even make the case that Sununu's favored, because you look at the opposition, and who do you see? Maybe Chris Pappas, maybe Annie Kuster, I mean, they're representatives, and that's true, but Pappas would leave his seat possibly open to a flip, and maybe wouldn't even be guaranteed the victory. If he stays in Congress, he's definitely guaranteed the victory, but Annie Kuster likely is going to run, and you could see maybe even a divided primary on the Democrat side. You kind of want that to happen, because if you have a divided primary on the Republican side, it's not going to end well, because the primary ends in like mid-September. It's a very late primary. You're not even going to have 2 months to unify the party behind a candidate. You saw this in the 2022 Senate race. The Democrats won by like 9. And you don't want that to happen. But Sununu, if he runs, he should just start campaigning for the general out of the gate. And it would be a very good thing if he did. He is very popular. Now, it's true, in 2022, he didn't win by as much as he did in 2020, but incumbent governors in 2020 were popular because of COVID. Now, things changed in 2021 when the restrictions became unpopular, but that's why Sununu won by a big margin. Then he won by less in 2022, which is not really a great year for Republican governors overall, but he still won by double digits, and he left office with an approval rating, even according to Morning Compost, of 63%. Those are electoral juggernaut numbers. Now, is he going to win in a landslide? No, it's going to be competitive. It will be competitive. But, you could talk about Republicans easily winning this race. Depends on Trump's approval. But still, I think Sununu's got a very, very, very good shot. And that's the way it is. I mean, people will say, what about Larry Hogan? Well, Larry Hogan overperformed by like 15 to 20 points. I mean, I'm not a Larry Hogan fan. But in terms of the Senate, like, he did outrun Trump significantly with Trump on the ballot in a presidential year, which would be a tough situation for Larry Hogan to win, and he only lost by like 10 points and change. So if you want to put that overperformance into New Hampshire, which I'm not saying it will, Sununu would win easily. New Hampshire was the closest state by raw votes in both 2016 and 2024. 2020, it was a little bit of a different situation, but still. It is definitely Chris Sununu's seat for the taking if he wants it. He's got a very good shot, even if he faces a somewhat strong Democrat, because they're not going to have that incumbency factor. But at a minimum, even if Sununu loses, there's going to be a lot of money the Democrats are going to pour up into New Hampshire that they wouldn't have had to pour in if it was Shaheen versus some random Republican. But now that it's Sununu versus somebody who needs to build up their name recognition, you're going to have a fierce, possibly very fierce primary on the Democrat side. It's possible they unify the party, but still, this is bad news for the Democrats, because let's just talk about this. Maine, I think Collins holds. Georgia, I think Kemp flips it. And North Carolina, that one's going to be close, but a midterm year, probably going to have lower black turnout, even against DeRoy Cooper. Tom Tillis has a very decent shot to win in North Carolina. He's voted well. He's changed his tune. He's likely not going to face a contested primary. That means we're talking about the closest races instead of being, North Carolina, Georgia, Maine. It's New Hampshire and Michigan and maybe even Minnesota. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but still, it depends on a lot of things. You have a lot of people that'll say the economy's not doing well right now. There's a lot of nuance to it. The economy's based on vibes, first and foremost. The economic data was not bad before the 2024 election, but it didn't mean that Americans viewed it that way. There's a lot of factors at play. You're seeing eggs go down. You're seeing gas go down. Democrats fixating on egg prices early on. It was always going to blow up in their face because there's many aspects to the economy besides that, and that was because of the bird flu, not Donald Trump. Now, because they made it such a big issue, it's going down, Trump gets credit, you name it. But still, we have a long way to go. But if you have Donald Trump's approval rating anywhere close to, 47, 48, yeah, Republicans are probably going to gain seats in the Senate. Democrats, how are they going to even retake it? They don't have a path to retake it. You could talk about what Alaska, Iowa, Ohio, no, those seats are not for the taking. The best case for the Democrats is they get to 49, not even 50. And even if they had 50, they wouldn't have the Senate. So Republicans, if they can go out there and expand, yeah, you're talking about Republicans possibly getting to 55. If they won New Hampshire, Sununu runs, and let's say runs a good campaign, he wins, and Pete Buttigieg is the Democrat nominee in Michigan, you're talking about 56 Senate seats for the Republicans. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. They may only end up with 52 or 53, which is still respectable for a midterm year where you have the incumbent president in office. You have a trifecta. The House is going to be interesting. Democrats, they have a low ceiling but a high floor, and same thing for the Republicans, which means the House is going to be very contested, very expensive on both sides. That's definitely going to be something to watch. This is very suspenseful in this midterm year. It's not like, oh, there's going to be a massive wave. Democrats hoping for that are delusional. There's no pathway for them in the Senate. There's a pathway for them in the House, yeah. But in terms of even the governorships, you're not going to see them go out there and flip a state like Nevada and then flip places like Iowa and flip Georgia. Maybe Georgia, you could say, if Democrats found a strong candidate and Trump's approval is like in the gutter. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I think Republicans are going to, if anything, gain net governorships. I think they're going to gain the state of Arizona and Kansas. They might, obviously, I think they will lose Virginia later this year, but New Jersey, I think they have a shot to pick up, and then Michigan, they have a shot to pick up. So, it's not like it's some, gloom and doom midterm for Republicans. There's a wide open opportunity in multiple states, and in the Senate, the Democrats are crumbling. And you know why? Because they understand the map isn't good for them. They understand that they don't want to govern in the minority. Why would they? It's not fun. I mean, Republicans had the same problem. Trump had to convince people like Ron Johnson to run for re-election in 2022 because it's something that a lot of people just don't want to govern in. They don't want to govern in the minority. But now Republicans have what looks to be a majority for the foreseeable future, and they could build on that. And Democrats may not take it back until the 2040s because, yeah, you have Senate seats in states that are moving right, like Arizona, like Nevada, that are controlled by 2 Democrats in each. Those are 4 possible flips. And if Republicans get there and they hold their seats by 2030, they could be talking about a filibuster-proof majority, 60 Senate seats on the table. It's possible. Honestly, I got a lot of hate for saying this, but I said lower the filibuster to like 54, 53, because if you do that, the Democrats don't mathematically have a path to get to that number. Like, they'd have to win a state like Montana again. I don't see them doing that. And even if they do, that person is not going to be able to want to raise the filibuster again. Democrats have talked about getting rid of it. Yeah, well, make them pay for it. Why not? Just go out there and make it a lower number that's strategic, that says, okay, you need 54 seats instead, because Democrats aren't going to get there, but you're going to get there. You have the power. If the left has power, they'll do something with it. If we do, we don't for some reason, that needs to change. And yeah, I mean, some of these people, like Susan Collins, like Chris Sununu, and even Brian Kemp to an extent, not the biggest fans of them. But if you have these party line votes and these people can be team players enough, yeah, then you're going to have a net positive because it's better than having Democrats in those seats. And it doesn't seem like there's any other Republican viable challengers in those specific states. Maybe Georgia, but it doesn't seem like anybody's going to go for it. And Kemp's not losing a primary anyways. I mean, we tried this experiment when him and Trump were at their, the pinnacle of their beef, but still it didn't really matter. Kemp won like 70% of the vote in the primary, and he won the general easily. So if he's what it takes to beat Ossoff, I'm fine with that. So either way, swing seats are a little bit different than safe seats. I really think we do need to look into these primary challenges in some of these red states like Texas, like maybe even South Carolina. McConnell's gone, so that open primary is going to matter in Kentucky. And that's kind of where we move the center of gravity and then have these more people with moderate optics in like the swing states or whatever, people like Dave McCormick that'll vote for you almost 100% of the time, but also be strong enough to win. And occasionally you'll have like a Ted Budd or a Ron Johnson or somebody that's very solid and popular in a swing state as well. So either way, there's a lot to look forward to. But Democrats in the Senate, they're crumbling, and we have a golden opportunity for a Senate red wave. Republicans expanded their Senate majority during Trump's first midterm. It's a very good chance they could do it again in Trump's second midterm. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.